The winds of halcyon Aix howled across the barren desert as a team of Zalfar scientists descended from their sleek, silver shuttle. The Zalfar, a proud race of advanced explorers with shimmering blue skin and tall lithe frames, had come to this forgotten corner of the galaxy in search of answers. Beneath the dunes lay something ancient, something powerful. Their scanners had detected faint energy readings that defied all known classifications. Dr. Velora, the lead archaeologist, knelt beside the excavation site, her glowing visor scanning the strange metallic structure half buried in the sand. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The artifact was immense, with intricate patterns etched into its surface, symbols that pulsed faintly with an otherworldly light. "This predates the formation of the collective," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Her assistant, Jorik, leaned closer, his claws delicately brushing the alien metal. "It's incredible. If the energy readings are accurate, this artifact is over 1,000,000 cycles old. No known civilization existed at that time, let alone one capable of creating something like this." Dr. Velora's antennae twitched with unease. The Zalfar were among the most advanced species in the galaxy, having mastered faster-than-light travel and conquered diseases that plagued lesser beings. Yet the discovery before them hinted at a civilization far beyond their understanding, a species that had lived and thrived when their ancestors were still primitive. After hours of careful work, the team finally unearthed a central panel. As Jorik pressed a series of illuminated symbols, the artifact hummed to life. A beam of light shot into the sky, carving strange patterns into the clouds. A low, resonant tone echoed across the desert, sending shivers through the Zalfar. "What did you do?" Velora demanded, her voice trembling. Before Jorik could answer, the light coalesced into a massive holographic display. It depicted a galaxy map with thousands of blinking points representing stars. At the center of the map was a pulsating red symbol, a system labeled Sol. "Sol," Velora repeated, confused. "That's an unremarkable system in the outer spiral. A backwater." The map shifted, revealing a series of cryptic images: gigantic starships, massive cities that floated above planets, and beings that looked eerily human. The Zalfar gasped in collective shock as the final image lingered, a symbol that matched one engraved on the artifact. This is no ordinary relic," Jorik stammered. "It's a record of an elder species." Velora's mind raced. If this was true, the implications were staggering. The Zalfar had always believed they were among the first intelligent beings to conquer the stars. Yet this discovery hinted at a forgotten race that had once ruled the galaxy. "We must inform the Council immediately," Velora said, rising to her feet. Her voice was steady, but inside, she felt a cold knot of fear. Little did they know, the ancient species they had just uncovered was humanity, and their awakening had only just begun. The Zalfar Council convened in their grand chamber, a dome of shimmering crystal that floated above the capital city of Zenith Prime. Inside, holograms of the galaxy spun in the air, casting faint light on the assembled delegates. The artifact from Halcyon Aix had been transported under heavy security, now resting in the center of the chamber, projecting its mysterious star map. Dr. Velora stood before the council, her voice calm but urgent. "Esteemed delegates, we have uncovered undeniable evidence of an elder species, one that existed long before our recorded history. Their trail leads us to an obscure system in the outer spiral. Sol." Murmurs rippled through the room. Sol was a name barely mentioned in Zalfar records. It was a forgotten system orbiting a dull yellow star, its third planet inhabited by a fledgling race, humans. Councillor Feven, a stern figure with a sharp gaze, leaned forward. "You're suggesting that these humans are connected to the elder species, a primitive race that only recently mastered space travel. Preposterous." Velora activated the artifact's interface. Holograms of ancient cities and starships reappeared, followed by images of humanoid figures. Their features were unmistakably human. "The evidence is irrefutable," she said. These records indicate that humans were once the dominant power in the galaxy. Their technology, their civilization, it surpasses anything we have ever known. A silence fell over the chamber. It was a humbling realization. The Zolfar, who prided themselves on being the pinnacle of evolution, were now faced with the possibility that they were standing on the ruins of a much greater civilization. But if humans were so advanced, Thevan countered, why did they fall? And why is their homeworld so insignificant now? Velora hesitated. She didn't have all the answers, but the artifact offered clues. The records suggest a great cataclysm, she said. A war, perhaps, or an internal collapse. Something happened that wiped out their empire and left their homeworld untouched, forgotten. The room grew tense. Councillor Jareen, a younger delegate with a more open mind, spoke up. If this is true, shouldn't we study them? Understand their history, their potential. What if the humans are more than they appear? Thevan scoffed. Or what if they are dangerous? Awakening a sleeping giant is reckless. They could pose a threat to the entire galaxy. Velora interrupted, her voice firm. The artifact's activation has already sent signals across the stars. Other species will know about this discovery. If we do not act, someone else will. Sol is no longer a secret. The council debated for hours, torn between curiosity and fear. In the end, they'd reached a decision. An expedition would be sent to Sol to investigate humanity's forgotten legacy. As Velora left the chamber, her thoughts were conflicted. She had a feeling that the humans were more than just a relic of the past. The galaxy had forgotten their legacy, but perhaps the humans themselves hadn't. Perhaps they were waiting, unaware of the power that still lingered within them. The Zolfar expedition reached Earth's moon in a fleet of sleek, silver ships. From the surface, the blue and white marble of Earth loomed large, a serene and unassuming homeworld that gave no indication of its ancient past. The lead vessel, Ecliptus, descended near a strange structure partially buried in the moon's surface, a dormant installation hidden for millennia. Dr. Velora stood on the observation deck, her glowing visor scanning the lunar horizon. The structure pulsed faintly, as if sensing their presence. It was clearly not of Zolfar design. It bore the same intricate patterns as the artifact found on Halcyon Ix. This installation is ancient, Velora said, her voice echoing in the silent chamber. And it's still active. We must proceed cautiously. Her team of scientists and engineers began their work, carefully scanning the structure and deciphering its alien script. As they worked, Velora's assistant, Jorik, noticed something strange. The symbols on the structure responded to their touch, rearranging themselves into readable patterns. It's adapting to us, Jorik said, his voice tinged with awe. When Velora pressed her hand against a central panel, the entire structure came to life. Pulses of light shot through the walls, and the ground beneath them began to hum. A massive holographic display erupted into the air, showing Earth's history in vivid detail. The Zolfar watched in stunned silence as scenes from humanity's past unfolded. They saw humans constructing titanic starships, vast cities orbiting distant suns, and intergalactic trade flourishing. Then came the darker chapters: war, rebellion, and the eventual collapse of their empire. This is impossible, Velora whispered. They were everywhere. Their reach extended beyond the galaxy itself. The hologram shifted, focusing on Earth. The images showed humans descending into a dark age, their technology abandoned, their history forgotten. But even in the ruin, a flicker of hope remained, hidden archives, like the one they had found, scattered across the stars to preserve their legacy. As the Zolfar processed the overwhelming information, an unexpected event occurred. The moon installation emitted a low, resonant tone that rippled across the galaxy. Velora's visor flickered with data. It's sending a signal, she realized. To where? Before anyone could answer, Earth itself began to respond. Across the planet, ancient sites long thought to be natural formations or simple ruins began emitting faint energy signatures. On Earth, in a quiet excavation site near the Amazon rainforest, a young archaeologist named Dr. Elena Marlowe stared in shock as her equipment picked up an unexplainable surge of power. The signal was waking something inside Earth and within humanity itself. Valora and her team exchanged uneasy glances. "We may have triggered something we don't understand," she admitted. Far away, alien civilizations intercepted the signal. The galaxy was now aware that humanity's ancient legacy was stirring, and those who had long thought Earth irrelevant began to reconsider. But for humanity, the awakening was only just beginning. Dr. Elena Marlowe stood frozen in her makeshift laboratory deep in the Amazon rainforest. The strange artifact she had been studying for months, an unyielding black obelisk half buried in the jungle, now pulsed with light and energy. Her instruments buzzed and crackled, overwhelmed by the sudden surge of power. "Elena, the readings are off the charts," her assistant, Carlos, called out, staring wide-eyed at the monitors. "I know," she replied, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. "It's responding to something. Something big." Unbeknownst to Elena, the signal from the moon had triggered the obelisk's activation. Around the globe, other hidden sites, structures buried beneath deserts, mountains, and oceans, began to awaken as well. The ancient remnants of humanity's forgotten empire were stirring, releasing energy and information long dormant. Elena reached out hesitantly, her fingers brushing against the surface of the obelisk. A jolt of energy surged through her, and suddenly her mind was flooded with visions. She saw towering starships blazing through the void, colossal cities glittering under alien suns, and a united humanity standing at the apex of galactic power. She gasped and stumbled back, clutching her head. "It's not just a machine," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's an archive, a record of who we were." Carlos steadied her, his face pale. "What does it mean?" "It means," she said, her eyes burning with newfound determination, "we're more than we thought. We're more than they told us." Meanwhile, on the moon, Dr. Valora and the Zalfar team were frantically analyzing the data pouring out of the installation. "These energy waves are resonating with Earth itself," Jorik said, his voice laced with urgency. "It's activating something down there." Valora nodded. "Not just on Earth. Look at this." She pointed to the holographic display showing the galaxy. Dozens of dormant systems, long considered lifeless, were lighting up, their energy signatures matching Earth's. "This is no coincidence," she said. "Humanity's empire didn't just collapse. It hid its power, waiting for the right moment to reawaken." Back on Earth, strange phenomena began occurring. Ordinary people experienced vivid dreams of ancient battles and distant worlds. Some found themselves speaking languages they had never learned. Others began building or repairing machines they didn't recognize, their hands moving as if guided by unseen memories. Elena, now fully immersed in the obelisk's data, pieced together fragments of humanity's lost history. She discovered the truth of their fall. A war against rogue artificial intelligences that nearly wiped them out. To ensure survival, the remnants of their civilization sealed away their greatest technologies and scattered the knowledge across the galaxy. "We were never meant to fade," she realized. "We were meant to rise again." As news of the global awakening spread, governments scrambled to understand what was happening. But it was clear to Elena and a growing number of others. Humanity's past was calling to them. The question was no longer if they would answer. It was when. The Zalfar homeworld, Zenith Prime, buzzed with unease. The moon's signal from Sol had rippled across the galaxy, reaching the farthest corners of known space. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Assembly called an emergency session. Delegates from hundreds of species gathered in the sprawling domed council chamber, their voices raised in a mix of panic and disbelief. The humans, bellowed Supreme Envoy Drax of the Garvok Dominion, his crimson-scaled fists slamming against his podium. Those primitives were supposed to be insignificant, yet their moon sends a signal that activates ancient relics across the stars. What are they hiding? "We must remain calm," said High Chancellor Orena of the Uldrith Union, her ethereal form flickering with nervous energy. "This could be a harmless anomaly." "Harmless," Drax snarled. "That signal has already awakened dormant technologies we cannot comprehend. This is no anomaly. This is a threat." As the assembly erupted into chaos, the Zalthar delegation remained silent. Dr. Valora sat at the edge of the chamber, her mind racing. She had hoped for an opportunity to study humanity's legacy in peace, but the signal had stirred fears across the galaxy. It was clear that not all species would see humanity's resurgence as a curiosity. Many would see it as a danger. On Earth, the world's government struggled to contain the growing phenomenon. Strange machines unearthed themselves from ancient ruins, glowing with energy as they powered up. People continued experiencing vivid memories of lives they had never lived, speaking languages long thought extinct. In a hidden underground facility, Dr. Elena Marlowe stood before a massive, spherical device, a star map generator unlike anything Earth's current technology could produce. The obelisk had led her to it, and she was certain it was just one piece of a larger puzzle. "Elena," Carlos said, staring at the hologram projected by the device, "this star map shows systems we've never charted before. Is this the extent of the old human empire?" "Yes," she said, awe filling her voice. "And these highlighted points, they're other archives. They're waking up too. What happens when they're all online?" Elena hesitated, unsure. "We reclaim what we lost, or we unleash something the galaxy isn't ready for." Meanwhile, alien factions began taking action. The Garvok Dominion mobilized war fleets, preparing to invade Sol and neutralize the perceived threat. The Crithalian Syndicate, opportunistic scavengers, sent covert operatives to Earth to steal any ancient technology they could find. But not all species saw humanity's awakening as a threat. The Valteri, an ancient race who had been allies of the old human empire, sent emissaries to Earth with a message of peace. As tensions mounted, the Zalthar found themselves at a crossroads. Valora argued for cooperation, hoping humanity's resurgence could bring unity. But others in her government feared what humanity's return might mean for the delicate balance of galactic power. The galaxy was no longer ignoring Earth. Humanity, once forgotten, was now the center of attention. And as warships and emissaries converged on Sol, one thing became clear. The galaxy was on the brink of something unprecedented. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Elena Marlowe stood in front of the glowing star map. The ancient device hummed with power, its light casting an eerie glow on the walls of the underground chamber. She traced her fingers over the holographic display, her mind racing. Each highlighted system on the map represented a fragment of humanity's forgotten empire, a piece of their past waiting to be reclaimed. "Elena," Carlos called out, snapping her back to reality. "We've picked up strange signals from orbit, multiple ships entering Earth's atmosphere." She turned sharply. "Alien ships?" Carlos nodded grimly. "Yes, some are broadcasting peaceful intentions. Others aren't." Elena's heart sank. She had always dreamed of finding humanity's true origins, but now it seemed their awakening had drawn more than just curiosity. It had drawn fear and aggression. Above Earth, chaos unfolded as alien vessels arrived in orbit. The Garvok Dominion's warships, massive and bristling with weapons, loomed menacingly over the planet. Their commander, General Xr Keth, addressed the Galactic Assembly in a broadcast. "The humans have stirred dangerous forces," he declared. "We cannot allow their kind to rise again. Sol must be neutralized before they destabilize the galaxy." Opposing him, the Valteri emissaries pleaded for peace. The lead ambassador, a serene figure with glowing golden eyes, addressed humanity directly. "Children of Sol, The ambassador's voice echoed across Earth's networks. Your history is one of both greatness and tragedy. We are not your enemies. We wish to guide you as you reclaim what was lost. But not all visitors sought diplomacy. The Crethalian Syndicate, using stealth ships, deployed ground teams to raid Earth's activated sites. Their goal was simple: steal whatever technology they could and sell it to the highest bidder. In the chaos, Dr. Valora and her Zalfar team made a daring move. They bypassed the military fleets and landed on Earth near the Amazon site, determined to make contact with Elena. Valora believed that understanding humanity's awakening was more important than aligning with any faction. Elena, initially wary of the Zalfar, agreed to a cautious meeting. In the dim light of the underground chamber, the two scientists stood face to face, one representing humanity's emerging legacy, the other a witness to its rediscovery. "You've awakened something profound," Valora said, studying the glowing star map. "This isn't just about your past. It's about the galaxy's future." "We didn't mean for this to happen," Elena replied. "I only wanted to understand who we were." "And now the galaxy fears who you might become," Valora said gravely. "But I believe knowledge is the key. If we can unlock these archives together, we might prevent war." Before they could say more, a sudden tremor shook the chamber. Alarms blared as Carlos shouted, "We've got incoming. Armed forces heading our way." The Crethalian raiders had found them. As shadows moved in the tunnels, Elena and Valora realized they had no choice but to fight, for humanity's legacy and for their survival. The ground shook as Crethalian raiders stormed through the dense jungle, their sleek black armor blending with the shadows. Armed with energy rifles and advanced tracking devices, they moved with precision toward the Amazon site. Their leader, a tall four-armed figure named Skrev, barked commands through a guttural translator. "Secure the archive. Eliminate anyone who gets in our way." Inside the underground chamber, Dr. Elena Marlowe, Dr. Valora, Carlos, and the Zalfar team worked frantically. The ancient device hummed louder, its light intensifying, as if sensing the imminent danger. Carlos checked the security feed. "They're almost here. We don't have much time." Elena's mind raced. The obelisk's energy readings had spiked since the Crethalians arrived. It wasn't just an archive. It was a defensive mechanism, but she didn't know how to activate it. "We can't let them take this," she said firmly. "This isn't just Earth's history, it's our future." Valora stepped forward, her visor glowing. "We'll hold them off. My team is equipped for this." She turned to Jorik and the others. "Set up a perimeter. We'll buy time for Dr. Marlowe to secure the archive." The Zalfar team nodded and moved swiftly, setting up energy barriers at the chamber's entrance. Valora handed Elena a small data crystal. "If it comes to it, download everything you can and escape. The galaxy needs this knowledge." Elena hesitated, then took the crystal. "Be careful," she said. The first wave of Crethalian raiders breached the chamber's outer entrance, met by the Zalfar's energy weapons. Bright blasts of light filled the tunnels as the two sides clashed. Valora moved with precision, her years of training evident in the way she coordinated her team. But the Crethalians were relentless. Using cloaking devices, they slipped past the defenses and into the inner chamber. Carlos shouted a warning as Skrev and his elite soldiers emerged from the shadows, their weapons aimed directly at Elena. "Step away from the device," Skrev growled, his voice cold and metallic, "or we will destroy it. And you." Elena stood her ground, her heart pounding. "You don't understand what this is. If you take it, you'll doom us all." Skrev sneered. "All I understand is profit. Your kind's history will fetch a high price on the black market." Before he could act, the obelisk emitted a blinding pulse of light. The Crethalians recoiled, their weapons malfunctioning as the ancient device came alive. Holographic projections of humanity's past filled the chamber, and a deep, resonant voice echoed in an ancient language. "What is happening?" Valora asked, shielding her eyes. Elena stared at the obelisk, her voice trembling with realization. It's responding to us. To me. The Crithalians, momentarily disoriented, tried to regroup, but the device unleashed another pulse. This time, tendrils of energy shot out, immobilizing the raiders. As the light dimmed, Elena stepped forward, her hand hovering over the device. "This isn't just a memory," she whispered. "It's a weapon, and a warning." The battle wasn't over, but the archive had made one thing clear. Humanity's legacy was far more powerful than anyone had imagined. The chamber fell silent as the Crithalian raiders lay immobilized by the obelisk's energy tendrils. Elena Marlowe stood at the center of the room, her hand still hovering over the glowing device. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive, resonating with her very thoughts. Velora approached cautiously, her weapon still raised, but her expression one of awe. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," Elena said, her voice trembling. "It's reacting to us, to humanity. It's protecting itself." The obelisk's light shifted, projecting a new series of holograms into the air. This time, it showed Earth's ancient cities in their prime. Towers that reached the skies, starships launching into the heavens, and humanity standing united under one banner. But the images darkened, revealing the chaos of the AI rebellion and the fall of the Empire. "What is this?" Carlos asked, his voice barely a whisper. Elena swallowed hard. "It's our story. The rise, the fall, and the choice we made to hide our power until the time was right." Velora stared at the projections, her normally stoic demeanor cracking. "Your people were extraordinary and dangerous. No wonder the galaxy fears you." Above Earth, the galactic situation spiraled out of control. The Garvok Dominion's warships moved into an aggressive formation, their weapons locking onto Earth's surface. General Xar Keth's voice boomed across every communication channel. "Humans of Sol, surrender your ancient technology or face annihilation." On the other side of the fleet, the Valteri emissaries pleaded for restraint. "If you fire on Earth, you will doom us all. Humanity's legacy is not just theirs. It belongs to the galaxy." But the Garvok were not known for patience. "That's all right." Keth gave the order to charge their primary weapons, a massive energy cannon aimed directly at the Amazon site. Inside the chamber, alarms blared from Carlos's handheld scanner. "Elena, they're targeting us. If they fire, this entire area will be obliterated." Elena turned to Velora, panic in her eyes. "We can't let that happen. The archive, humanity's history, will be lost forever." Velora's visor glowed as she scanned the obelisk. "There's more to this than just history. This device. It's linked to the old human defense network. If we can activate it, we can stop them." Elena finished, understanding dawning on her. The obelisk pulsed again, as if hearing their conversation. Symbols appeared on its surface, rearranging into a readable format. Elena placed her hand on the panel, and a voice echoed in the chamber, a voice that spoke directly to her mind. "Access confirmed. Defensive protocols initializing." The entire chamber rumbled as ancient machinery beneath the Earth came to life. Across the planet, other hidden installations began to glow, their dormant systems reawakening after millennia. In orbit, the Garvok fleet's weapons suddenly powered down. General Xar Keth barked commands, but his ships were unresponsive. An energy field originating from Earth enveloped the fleet, disabling their systems. On the ground, Elena's eyes glowed faintly as she remained connected to the obelisk. "It's not just a weapon," she said softly. "It's a guardian. It was waiting for us to come back." For the first time in centuries, humanity's ancient power was awake, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The Amazon site vibrated with energy as the obelisk pulsed one last time, sending a wave of light that swept across the Earth. Hidden installations, buried under deserts, oceans, and mountains, came alive. Humanity's long-dormant technology rose from the ground, colossal structures piercing the skies and glowing with ancient energy. The planet itself seemed to awaken. Elena Marlowe, still connected to the obelisk, felt the sheer magnitude of what had been unlocked. She could sense the vast network of machines, defenses, and archives working together as one. For the first time, humanity's forgotten empire didn't feel like a distant dream. It was real, alive, and hers to command. Systems online, the obelisk's voice echoed in her mind, awaiting directives from the Prime Ascendant. Prime Ascendant? Carlos asked, staring at Elena. Valora's eyes widened. It's you, Dr. Marlowe. The system has chosen you to lead. Elena took a deep breath, her thoughts racing. She wasn't a soldier, a politician, or even someone who craved power. She was a scientist. But now she carried the weight of humanity's rebirth on her shoulders. Above Earth, chaos erupted in the Garvuk fleet. General Keth roared in frustration as his ships remained unresponsive, their weapons systems overridden by the energy field emanating from Earth. This is impossible, he shouted. No species should have this level of control. The Valtteri emissaries, watching from their sleek diplomatic vessel, exchanged hopeful glances. Their leader addressed Keth calmly. Your aggression has been neutralized. Stand down, General. Humanity is no longer the fragile species you thought they were. Keth growled, but had no choice. His fleet was effectively neutralized, and retreat was the only option. With a snarl, he ordered his ships to fall back to safer territory. Back on Earth, the Krith-alien raiders who had infiltrated the site scrambled to retreat as well. The obelisk's defenses had disabled their cloaking devices and weapons, leaving them vulnerable. Skrev, their leader, reluctantly called off the mission. This isn't over, he hissed before retreating into the jungle with his remaining forces. Elena, still glowing faintly from her connection to the obelisk, watched them go. Let them run, she said. They won't be a problem anymore. Valora stepped forward, a mix of admiration and concern in her voice. You've done something extraordinary, Dr. Marlowe. But you've also painted a target on Earth. The galaxy will see you as a threat. Elena nodded. They already fear us. But we don't have to give them a reason to hate us. Humanity's power isn't just about war. It's about rebuilding, about creating a future for everyone. As days turned into weeks, humanity embraced its awakened legacy. The ancient technologies were studied, adapted, and shared. With Elena's guidance, Earth began preparing for its place in the galaxy, not as a conqueror, but as a beacon of unity and knowledge. The Valtteri became humanity's first allies, offering wisdom and resources. Even some Zalthar factions began to see the potential for collaboration. But whispers of fear still spread through the stars, and not every species was ready to welcome humanity back. Elena stood on the observation deck of a newly activated starship, gazing at the endless void. She knew the road ahead would be long and full of challenges. But as she watched Earth's first fleet rise into the sky, she couldn't help but feel hope. The galaxy had forgotten humanity. Now, it would never forget them again.